Segment 1, a fragile ceasefire between frenemies. Welcome to Klepper's Corner, where the news is always fresh and slightly radioactive. Let's start with the biggest global story of the day, the Iran-Israel ceasefire. And I use ceasefire the same way your uncle uses diet, optimistically and only when he's out of beer. After when President Trump called the 12-day war, because we now measure wars like advent calendars, the fighting has technically stopped. The U.S. and Qatar helped broker a truce, and by broker, we mean everyone agreed to just stop shooting long enough to grab snacks. Iran's foreign minister responded to news of the ceasefire by basically saying, "We'll see," which is the international diplomatic equivalent of ghosting. Trump, in true Trump fashion, told the NATO summit everything was going very well before turning around and blasting Israel for bombing again, calling it never before ever, which sounds less like a condemnation and more like a new mega fragrance. And if that wasn't enough diplomatic whiplash, Iran decided to halt cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency because apparently nuclear transparency is so 2024. So to summarize, ceasefire, kind of. Nuclear program, definitely. Regional peace, LOL. Segment 2, China flexes and finesses. Now over to China, where diplomacy looks like a weird combo of TED Talk and cage match. June 25 marked their Low Carbon Day and Energy Conservation Week, because nothing screams conservation like 1,000 drones spelling out "Go green" over a coal plant. China says it's peaking carbon emissions, which sounds noble until you realize they said the same thing about TikTok screen time. But don't get it twisted. They also told Japan to shove their protest over East China Sea structures. China basically said, "These waters are mine. You touch, I file a sternly worded blog post." And to the UK, China was like, "Spying? Who us? We're just passionate about your LinkedIn profiles." They even defended buying oil from Iran after the war, saying it was in their national interest, which is political speak for mind your business, Karen. Segment 3, ESG goes MIA. States like Oklahoma and Texas have been pressuring big banks to stop being woke, which in 2025 means you recycled once and own a Tesla. JP Morgan and Citigroup are pulling out of climate coalitions faster than a GOP senator from a pride parade. State Treasurer Todd Russ wants banks to play it straight down the middle. No activism, no politics, just cold, hard cash. So, like a vending machine, but for mortgages. ESG, environmental, social, and governance, has officially gone from a trendy acronym to a political slur. It's like if NFT met CRT and got canceled by GOP. Segment 4, BP plus Shell equals big petrol. Speaking of big oil, BP might hook up with Shell in a mega deal that could rival the ExxonMobil merger. BP shares jumped 6.5% because apparently Wall Street gets aroused by consolidation. A merger this size means the energy sector is circling the wagons. And by wagons, I mean offshore drilling rigs shaped like golden yachts. If this goes through, we're looking at more expensive gas, more oil lobbyists, and fewer companies to blame when your Tesla catches fire because you parked it too close to a vape pen. Segment 5, ACA adjustments continue. In healthcare news, the Biden administration, the Trump admin, I forget which face the government is wearing today, issued final ACA regulations on cost sharing for 2026. The ACA is like the Rolling Stones of legislation. It's old, it's had too much work done, but it still finds a way to perform. We're talking revisions to parts 147, 155, and 156, which sounds like a budget, but is really just the regulatory version of an oil change. Because nothing says healthcare access like 600 pages of footnotes. Segment 6, Indiana law and order and appeals and maintenance. Indiana's legal system had a busy day. One guy's 15-year sentence was overturned because his crimes didn't happen on different occasions. Apparently, crime multitasking is a legal gray area. Another case reversed a 65-year murder conviction due to ineffective counsel, probably because his lawyer showed up with a magic 8-ball and a Bluetooth headset. Meanwhile, the Indiana Supreme Court affirmed a civil commitment ruling, proving once again that in Indiana, you can lose your freedom even if you're not sure what day it is. Also, a judge ordered someone to pay their ex $5,000 a month plus legal fees, which in Indiana is called divorce, but in California is called parking. Segment 7, a bird town and a Fulbright. Dr. Amy Montz from USI got a Fulbright to study Victorian novelist Elizabeth Gaskell in the UK. For context, that's like getting a Grammy for explaining Jane Austen at a monster truck rally. Meanwhile, Shelby County became Indiana's first certified bird town. That's right, folks. Birds now get municipal titles. Somewhere out there, a pigeon is running for comptroller. They're installing perch guards on power lines and removing invasive plants. You know, the real enemies of the state. Kudzu and aggressive robins. Segment 8, Kroger closes. In Kroger's closing 60 stores, and 2 of them are in South Bend and Elkhart. This means Hoosiers will have to get groceries the old-fashioned way, panicking at Meijer. Why the closures? Hard to say, but it probably has something to do with corporate profits and the fact that people keep Instacarting Fritos at 2 a.m. while wearing slippers and regret. Segment 9, local government gets a makeover. Governor Mike Braun replaced all 9 members of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation Board. All of them. It's the bureaucratic equivalent of flipping the Monopoly board and yelling house rules. The new guy, Chris King from Shelbyville construction fame. Yes, the new economy is now being shaped by someone whose last big build involved roundabouts. Bold. Apparently, transparency was the issue. Which makes sense, because if there's one thing Indiana politics is known for, it's sunshine. Segment 10, Indiana fever and cinema fatigue. Indiana fever waived Dewana Bonner and re-signed Ari McDonald. Bonner had been out for personal reasons. McDonald had been in for professional ones, like winning games. We call that a fair trade. Meanwhile, if you've been to the movies lately, you've noticed something strange. The trailers are now as long as the movie. Cinemas are squeezing in up to 30 minutes of ads. By the time the feature starts, your popcorn has evolved into a life form. People are showing up late on purpose now. It's not a screening, it's a hostage situation with Dolby surround sound. Segment 11, events, dogs, and puzzles. Let's end with some local color. A K-9 cop got body armor, a 75-year-old went missing in Kokomo, and the Wayne County Fair has music, animal shows, and a vehicle event in Connorsville. Also, shout out to the NYT Connections puzzle, which today featured bird names without last letter as a category, because nothing says entertainment like guessing that eagle is a clue. That's our show. Be good, be skeptical, and if your bank CEO suddenly buys camo and a shotgun, maybe check if Oklahoma just passed another law. See you next time on Klepper's Corner, where the world is weird and Indiana's just trying to finish its roundabout before school starts.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.